All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with two guests who really should have been on the show at some point before. I feel like I've been seeing both of your bands' various projects over the years. In some cases, definitely since I was a teenager, and it's weird that this has never happened since I've done like a million episodes of the show. But you're here now, and we're here talking about a particular project that you're both in. And I think the best way to start this off is if the two of you want to introduce yourselves and give a bit of a background about what you do as artists, so we can go from there. So whoever wants to go first, feel free to jump right in.
I'm Joanne Rodriguez, and I'm in Poison Suckers, and I am the singer, and I play some guitar, and I play some bass, and on the recordings, I do various other things. I play some really bad trumpet. I play an all right train whistle, um, and I play a pretty good block. Actually, I was pretty impressed.
Right on, right on.
I'm Joe. I play drums in Poison Suckers, and on the recordings, I do the bass and the guitar as well. And I think Joanne's selling herself short. She plays a pretty good train whistle.
Is there like a level of skill to train whistle? I've never actually tried one. It just looks like it's a one.
Dude, it is
There's yeah.
like the mouth of the train whistle is like this big, and you have to push air through like the whole mouthpiece, and like it's hard. It takes a lot of breath. So yeah, there was more skill and more endurance. I maybe should have trained a little harder before the train whistle take, but it was a good enough take for what we needed.
I don't want to talk about train whistles the whole time, but like, are there different tones you can make with it, or is it just sort of the one blaring train noise?
I think there's probably other tones you could do, almost like a harmonica, where you can like isolate like one of four spaces around the mouthpiece. Um, Give me some time. I'm gonna master this.
Right on. And so, like I said at the beginning, you've both been in a ton of bands, and we could get into that. But I'm sure that many people listening to this will recognize you from one project or another. How long has Poison Suckers been a thing? Because I know you have, at the time we're recording this, you are about to release a new record. By the time people hear this, that will have been sort of out in the world for a bit longer. But you had an earlier release, which is a few years back now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we
want
had a we
Hazards
had
of the
a
internet. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Whoever wants to go ahead. Yeah.
we had a record come out in I think 2017. Poison Suckers have been at it for probably about 10 years, but for most of the time, we have been kind of a side, off to the side recording project where we write when we can and record when we can and not really prioritizing it. And so only recently have we started to play out live and really get into it.
Is that just because of all of the various other projects you were in, or is it just kind of like a when you
yeah,
had time for it thing?
specifically Joe. Joe's in a million bands, so he just has no time for. He has no time.
Just no time
He
at
just
all. Yeah.
has no time.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm in enough bands that I don't have any time for any of them either.
Right, right. So, so at what point did this become the priority then? Because, or is this just the priority for now? Now that you have this new music to put out there.
I think like it's a priority for now, and like not that either of us couldn't take on more projects and like kind of promote those when they happen and whatever. But yeah, like at the current time, like this is really my only project that's going on. Sorel's kind of dissolved, and so this was definitely something I could throw myself into.
Okay, fair enough. And so, I guess like obviously, again, you've both been in a ton of projects. A lot of them have very different sounds, but there's always sort of this. Well, I guess maybe first of all, before I ask that question, how do you define the sound of this? And everyone hates that question because it's really shitty. Because especially now, there's so many like something core and post this and offshoots of everything. But like, do you have a Cole's Notes version of explaining what the sound of Poison Suckers actually is?
You want to take that, Joe?
We always say Winnipeg lo-fi trash.
Okay. That fits. But I don't know how that fits, but it does fit. Like it makes sense. Yeah.
I don't like to write lengthy band bios. And even though I kind of don't want to get stuck on like bumper stickers for your band that you have to keep repeating, I feel like it's easy enough and says enough about what we are and what we do to just say we're from Winnipeg, which I think comes through in the sound. We're lo-fi, which is the sound, and we're trash.
I guess it works. Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Then this is the other shitty question that I've asked a lot of people, and no one ever has an answer for it. Is what do you think Winnipeg's sound is? I mean, I know Winnipeg has obviously a ton of different genres that have had successful, whether it's actually commercially successful or just like really awesome artists come out of. But there's definitely something about Winnipeg that gives it that Winnipegness, right? Like no one seems to ever be able to pin down what it is exactly. Maybe it is the trashiness. I'm not sure. But do you have do you have any idea what the Winnipeg sound is, regardless of genre?
That is a really hard question because I think everyone that does make music and puts out music in Winnipeg kind of is so diverse that they're like Winnipeg's R&B, Winnipeg's hip hop, Winnipeg's garage, Winnipeg's blah blah blah, and it's just like everything plus a twist of Winnipeg that is so hard to define. Um, yeah, like I think there's like maybe um, a certain rawness that comes from Winnipeg that is it's like only people, well, not only people from Winnipeg, but Winnipeg musicians have a radar for that sound. And then I think when people outside of Winnipeg hear that sound, they have, for some reason, been able to kind of maybe they listen to a lot of music and enough music to be like, there's something like very specific about Winnipeg sound. But that doesn't even answer the question. Tough one.
I don't. So far, no, I have not heard a satisfactory answer yet, and maybe that's why I'm still doing this show after all these years because I want to find out what it is.
The day that you get the right answer,
then I can quit.
it's done.
Yeah, I can quit. I've been like a thousand something episodes. I can stop finally. But
I can't wait to see who does that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll have the answer. But the one thing that has come the closest, I think, to it is the idea that audiences Winnipeg, and maybe it's not just here, but here for sure, have a really strong bullshit detector, and they can tell when
That's
someone is being not genuine. And I think the bands, regardless of genre, that actually gain an audience and maintain an audience here are the ones that are doing whatever it is, like, and being real about it.
That's my exact answer. That's how I feel too, is Winnipeg, especially when I was younger, I went to a lot more shows than I do now, so I don't feel quite as tuned in as I used to be. But I remember going to the Albert and seeing bands that would come in with some pomp and circumstance and just get eaten alive by the audience because they just weren't buying it. They were like, you got to work, you're going to have to sweat before we care about this. And that, I think, really owned a lot of the bands I came up with anyways. Is like, you're going to have to work and you're going to have to win people over. But once you have them, then the shows are great and wild. And
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and so I mean, with this project, part of that I think is what you're talking about is the live element of it as well, right? Going to the Albert, seeing these bands. I mean, you've both been in bands that have had pretty energetic stage shows. I mean, Joe in particular. I mean, seeing you like 20, 30 years ago, whenever it was, jumping around all over the stage and on tables and stuff. Obviously, that is part of the whole Winnipegness, I think, as well. But how does this work with this project with the two of you? I haven't seen you live yet. I will for sure be seeing you at the Quiff show, which is very exciting. But you're both playing multiple instruments, including a train whistle. How does this work in a live setting?
I think our live show is high energy and like not that not that we should ever depend on the audience, but it always really helps when the audience is like revved to see us play. Whether they came to see us play or not, I think the energy that comes from an audience once we get started definitely helps us up our energy and like feed off of them. So it's always a good time. And I feel like we've got like a pretty good range of ages that come and see us. A lot of old heads because I'm an old head, so like I feel like I see some of them in the crowd sometimes, which is so nice because like
Yeah.
I know we just don't go out all that much the older we get, so it's nice to see some of the older folks coming out and hoping that like I feel like I'm seeing some youngins in there that aren't like personal friends of mine because they're like probably a parent's kids, which is totally true. Like parents that I'm friends with, their kids are now old enough to go to the bar. So we're seeing kind of this like fun crossover where like parents are even playing with their kids band
Yeah.
on the same nights, which is cool to see in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's a weird multi-generational thing for sure. And it's
Yeah,
weird when the bands actually work. Like I've seen that too, where like they actually fit somehow, even if they're
yeah.
playing different things and they're influenced by different stuff. It's like
It's
there's
in the
still whatever
blood.
that vibe
It's
is.
like
Yeah,
literally in the blood.
yeah, it's pretty cool. But like, as far as actually logistically though, with all the instruments, I mean, what does it look like on stage with the two of you doing this? Are you switching back and forth from different things, or do you sort of have
We're
main
switching.
instruments?
Yeah, and we also have a third player, Skitty, that's in Charlie Red Star and plays with Zune and
Okay,
uh, great multi instrumentalist. He's in Cheap Heat. Yeah, and he really rounds out our sound as far as our live show goes, because we were a recording project for so long. When we decided to start playing live, we started playing as like a duo, and it was pretty okay, like I love the charm of a duo. I'm always a fan of hearing and going out to see duos, and definitely playing in duos. I think I've been in a couple really fun ones there's something magical about that number. But I feel like the real magic number for me is three.
okay.
And so like I definitely think Skitty brings that to the table and makes us like big sounding and trashy, and he hops on guitar for some songs and I hop on bass, and then we switch, and once in a while I hop on drums. Who knows what's going to happen this weekend and the weekends after. Sometimes it's a little spontaneous. I don't know.
Cool.
It depends on whose turn it is to try and crush a watermelon with their thighs.
Yeah, this sounds like a very specific thing. Is that part of the act? Is that what people
Well,
are going to expect
we
to see?
tried we tried it once, and we were playing with a band called Johnny Two Fingers and the
Okay,
Deformities.
yeah, I
And
know that
Johnny
band. Yeah,
Two
yeah.
Fingers and his drummer Cannonball Kelly are pro wrestlers, so they bring out the pro wrestlers. And after the show, we couldn't get it cracked. After the show, they were like giving us all these pro wrestling tips on how to open up a watermelon. They were like, you gotta gig it with a razor first. You can't just go in there cold. But neither of us had powerful enough. We haven't been training
Yeah.
enough to crack one yet.
I think you got to work on that. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, I
Sorry,
think
go
it's a
ahead.
seasonal thing too, where like the size of the watermelon and the shape of the watermelon is going to play into our success of crushing it. Um, One of us, who it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be me. But yes, I think deeper into the summer season, perhaps late fall, might be watermelon crushing season for
Cool.
us.
It smelled great though.
The watermelon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
once we got a little watermelon juice on the stage, all of a sudden it was a nice floral place to be playing a show.
As much as like as funny as the watermelon thing is, like the pro wrestling aspect of it, though, it seems like there is a lot of crossover in terms of that Winnipeg weird rawness and sort of the pro wrestling thing. I was never into wrestling as a kid very much, and then I didn't really think about it for a long time. And then it seems like, after I turned 30, 40, the older I got, the more people I know that are like super, super into it. And I realized there's this whole subculture, and it's very punk rock sort of thing that a lot of people I know who play in bands in Winnipeg are like heavy, heavy wrestling people, and I feel like there's a lot of crossover between those two. Just the way that the performance aspect of it and the DIY-ness of it and everything. It's cool. I had no idea for years, and I'm sort of slowly discovering this now. It's cool.
I think
I was
Winnipeg has a really strong indie wrestling scene going on right now that is a lot more professional and a lot more approachable than it used to be. Like it used to be I remember going to see pro wrestling at a show where they lost the championship belt, and so the ring announcer just took the belt out of his pants and awarded it to the champion. And I feel like those days have been nowadays it's a lot more well put together.
Sure.
But I love pro wrestling. I feel like if we start talking about pro wrestling, this whole thing's going to go off the rails.
All right. Well,
I could talk about it for a while.
we'll change subjects, but I did want to ask you about the Quiff show because I'm on record as being like a super fan of the Quiffs. I love them. I saw them as many times as humanly possible when they were around the first time. I've been sharing their CD and even the crappy little CDR EP they made with as many people as I can over the past however long it's been since they were around 20 years or so. So when I heard that this comeback was happening, this reunion show, I was like extremely excited. It's going to be the highlight of my year, I think, at this point. And so you're on the bill. So obviously there's connections from previous projects you've been in and knowing each other and things like that. But how did this come about? Like, did they just approach you and say, "Hey, we're doing this thing," or how did it all happen?
Yeah,
Well, Erica,
yeah,
sorry,
you
go
go.
ahead.
You go.
Erica hit me up because my old band Hot Live Guys and the Quiffs used to play together all the time.
Yep,
And Erica was even a short-lived Hot Live guy,
she was.
Erica
Yeah,
being the singer of the Quiffs. So she hit me up, and apparently they were throwing around the idea of asking Hot Live Guys to get back together, which I had to say, I'm about 80 pounds heavier than I was when Hot Live Guys were doing that. So I don't think we can bring the same show.
right.
But the next option was she asked us to do it, and we were totally excited. I think that show's going to be great. I think it's going to be lots of old friends and old heads, and then it'll be so cool to have some people who never got to see them the first time around get to check them out.
For sure. Yeah, they have this weird legacy in that there's really not much online about them. Like there's one terrible quality video where it's not even synced with the audio. And there's like, I interviewed them all like 4 years ago and I put their entire 20-minute discography at the end of the episode. And like that's one of the only places you can find it. I'm hoping that this like generates more interest in the Quiffs because I think that they really not to make this like a podcast about how great the Quiffs are, but they kind of epitomize that raw DIY Winnipeg thing, the basically what you've been describing is really that amateurish but in a really good way and just super catchy and super crazy live shows and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that this gets people knowing the greatness of the Quiffs and of course of you guys and Toaster Bath who are also great on the bill too. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a super fun show. We're really super looking forward to it. And like, I used to play. I would have been in probably American Flame Whip back then when we would play with the Quiffs, and
Yeah,
we were big fans of them back then. So it's so nice for them to ask us to play because we used to play with them separately in different bands. It's so nice that they asked us to play as Poison Suckers.
yeah, it's really cool.
Little family reunion.
Yeah, well, and like you said too about Joe, you were saying about all these people from back then coming back to it's gonna be like a reunion for all these people who knew each other or played in bands at the time. I mean, you're both still doing it. Most of us stopped a long time ago for good reason. But yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And then the other thing that I think is neat about your most recent release and just all of this stuff in general is that it's on the label that makes the most sense to be releasing your stuff. I mean, when I listened to, I just got a copy of it in the mail yesterday from Transistor, and when I listened to it, the first thing I thought is like, this is a Transistor 66 release, like whatever that sound that the label had, and it's very diverse as well. But there's something about it that totally suits what you're doing and what your previous bands did as well, and everything. And it's just it's very cool to see that that's still a thing as well. And I know that's not a question either, but you
No,
both
for
sort of
sure.
had
Like,
releases on that label from multiple bands.
and Art's just been such a great supporter of like any of my past bands. We're just guilty through association, and he's always offered help, and I just so appreciate everything that he's done for my bands from beginning to now and the unforeseen future.
Right on. So what is the near future, I guess, of Poison Suckers? Obviously, by the time people hear this, you will have done the release show for the EP. The Quiffs show will either be imminent or it'll already have happened. But are you planning on doing more sort of now in support of this release, or now that you're sort of out there playing a lot more shows?
Hmm. Yeah, we're playing a great little stint with Bloodshot Bill in Alberta coming up in May. We're going to play Edmonton at Starlight Temple on Thursday, May 14th. And then we're playing Calgary at the Palomino the next day, May 15th, on a Friday, which is super fun.
And
Um,
then Saturday in Winnipeg at Times Changed on the
Cool.
16th.
And that seems like a good venue too. I mean, as much as it has, the country aura to it, it obviously a lot more than that works there, and it's kind of one of those standby venues that make sense for this kind of stuff.
Yes, trash goes over great there. We love trash.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
also playing it public domain on June the 13th with Nothing and the Fun Ones and Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard that they were back again now too. It seems like all these old bands from that era, that 2000s kind of are coming back. Very cool.
Yeah.
So where can people hear this? I mean, if someone's hearing this podcast and you know whether they did your show with the Quiffs or any other shows that already happened or not, and they want to check you out, what's the best way to find your music online?
I think we have a preview up on the Bandcamp for now. If you go to Cups and Cakes podcast, they have a premiere of all of the tracks. And on Friday, it should be up on all the streaming and on Bandcamp. And you can order it through our Bandcamp if you want a vinyl record, or you can order it from Transistor 66. And I think our first 7 inch is also up on the Bandcamp and on streaming, so you can check that out too.
And I guess that shows is obviously the best way to pick up copies as well, right?
Please
Absolutely.
come say hi to us.
Come say
Cool.
hi. And we do have a super small handful of our first EP still that will be selling at shows and on our Bandcamp, but not many left of those if you don't have one. And that would have come out, I think, 2017. So we don't put out stuff very often, but from here on in, starting now, the next one is going to be a double gatefold greatest hits Poison Suckers.
Right on. Greatest hits of from the two EPs. How many songs is that total? Like
From just,
six
I
or
think
eight?
I'm thinking like Beyonce lengths. I'm thinking Drake lengths, like possibly 40 songs, 10 songs per side, 20 songs per record, 2 records.
Right on. Well, now that you said it, it has to happen. It's been recorded.
Yeah.
Announcement, yeah. Right on. So and then the finally, where can people find out about upcoming shows? Because like I said at the beginning, this podcast has existed for a million years. It'll probably exist for a million more years. Hopefully, you're still around when someone hears this in the future. Where can they find out where you're playing and what maybe when that 40 song Double Gatefold comes out?
Those are going to be hot. Those are going to
Yeah,
be like
for sure.
gone
Yeah,
like hotcakes.
yeah.
We have an Instagram account that we're on, but we don't have a Facebook yet. But that is something I would like to do. And Snatch Chat. We're on Snatch Chat.
Chat. That's a new one for me. Right on. Cool. Okay.